Hi guys, today I have a bit of a cautionary video for you. Something happened to one of my pets and I just thought it was so important to talk to you about it and to warn you all. This video is inspired by what happened to this little kitten. He's quite stoned. He doesn't react to the environment very much for now, and that's because of what happened to him. This poor guy has been really sick and we nearly lost him. The pharmaceutical industry has literally poisoned my cat. And it's been happening to hundreds of dogs and cats all around the world, and I believe it's time to start speaking about it, because if we don't, then they will keep dying, and it's just not fair for everybody, and especially for those poor animals that suffer so much. As soon as we found him, we brought him to our local vet, who we trust a lot, to ask him if anybody was asking about any lost kitten, if he knew anybody who lost a kitten. When we went in, we had no plans for any kind of medical treatments. We just went in to ask, literally. But the vet checked him and he said he had ear mites, which we already knew, and we were going to treat it using natural methods, just like we always did with the other cats. But he insisted that the mites are not going to go away unless we kill them with the chemicals. I don't even know why, don't ask me why, but I agreed for him to apply the flea spot-on treatment on his neck. In this particular case, he used Advocate, but after using research, I realized that they all use very similar active ingredients. So Advantix, Advocate, and all the different brands in the market, they all can cause the same problems. So as soon as we came home, after this treatment, within an hour, he was a totally different kitten. He started hiding in the dark and he became really sad. He was not himself, but I thought maybe it was just mild side effects from the medicine and I didn't pay too much attention to it. Then within a couple of days, he developed hypersalivation, which basically means he was dripping saliva. He was also doing really weird movements, uncontrolled movements with his lips, as if he was having some kind of a fit. It was really strange. And it lasted for 10 days. And in fact, we went to the vet and we asked him if he was normal, and he said, yeah, that's normal. 10 days later, he started having really bad diarrhea, going to the loo 7 times in one night. And then he also started getting really severely painful and bloated tummy. And at that point, he also started losing his balance and he kept tumbling down while walking. So we brought him to the vet, and the vet said it's probably just an infection of the digestive tract or the worms causing it. And he gave him an injection and he said he was going to be all right, but he wasn't. A couple of days later, he actually lost the control of his back legs completely and he couldn't walk on his back legs anymore. He could only crawl. And with each day, he was getting worse and worse. None of the doctors had any idea what was going on. They kept saying that it was a blood clot or something like that. Nothing they can do. It's just going to get worse. But I could see that it wasn't that. Their theory just didn't make sense, because he was getting worse every single day and was having really weird neurological symptoms which had nothing to do with any kind of clot. But they didn't want to listen to me, as always. So I did my own research, and one night I realized that it's all to do with that medicine. And the funny, I should say, really frustrating thing is that I mentioned it to my vet twice, asking if it's really not the medicine causing these problems. And he said, no, it can't be. Don't ask me why I listened to him, because I'm normally very, very, very careful believing in what the medical industry has to say. But I really trust this man. I really trust our veterinarian. So I don't know why, but I trusted him. And we didn't do anything about it. As soon as I finished my research and I found hundreds of cases of similar things that happened to dogs and cats all over the world, I realized that's what we have, because all the symptoms fit like a glove perfectly. Oh, by the way, by the time he started having diarrhea and belly pains, he also started shaking, like trembling all the time, which was also a very clear sign that he was going through an intoxication of pesticides. So by that point, we were desperate. We were going to go and do an MRI scan, which cost a fortune. We had to go to another island to do it. But we were prepared to do anything just to get some answers. And that same night, I found this article, and finally we got our answers. So that same night, we washed him, because that's the first thing to do. If your kitten or dog or cat develops similar symptoms, you need to wash them straight away with proper dishwashing liquid like Fairy or Dawn in US, which I'm not really in favor of because it's full of chemicals, but it's the only thing that can take off this super fatty and very difficult to take off chemical from the fur. So we did that the first night, and as soon as we did it, he changed so much. His legs by that point were totally stiff like this, he couldn't move them, and his back and belly were super stiff and in pain. After we washed him, within an hour, he could move his legs. I mean, he couldn't move them himself, but we could move them, and he wasn't stiff anymore, and he was so much better. From then on, he has been improving slowly but surely. Unfortunately, proper recovery can take anywhere from 1 to 2 months. This medicine takes around a month to get out of the body because it gets deposited in the skin and in the fatty cells of the skin and the blood. So even though we washed it off, so no more of it could get into the body, most of it would have already been deposited because we washed it after 17 days. So I was already too late. I just wish I discovered it earlier. So all we could do at that point was just wait for all of it to disappear from his body. And just before we washed him, he was even losing control of his front legs as well, and he lost the control of his bladder and his bowel movements, which was quite difficult for us. Since we washed him, things have been getting better. We've been giving him charcoal and apple cider vinegar to help his liver to detox, and he surely has been getting better. We didn't see much improvement for a couple of weeks, but a few days ago, he finally moved his tail again, and not just a little bit, but he's actually wagging his tail when he's angry, when he's being washed, or things like that. And Luca and I nearly cried when it happened because that's such a clear sign that he's getting better. And once he gains the feeling of his tail, his legs are probably going to be the next thing. And he's also almost regained his bowel control and his bladder control. So now he's almost going to the loo by himself. He can't get into the litter box and out by himself yet, but we can help him. And he can hold his pee in, which is really so much easier for us. And he's just so much stronger. He's crawling around all the time and he's responding much more. So we're definitely getting there, but it's still such a long way to recover. So this is our story. You know, if you have a pet that has any kind of similar symptoms, or if you know somebody's pet who's going through similar symptoms, please share this video with them, and please get them to wash the animals thoroughly, or get them to take it to the vet, because usually they have very strong cleansing solutions that can help to cleanse. It's going to save their lives, because if we hadn't washed our kitten, he would have probably died, because the next thing would have been fits, epileptic fits all day long, which would have eventually killed him. There are lots of DIY and natural things that you can do. So for example, if your kitten or your dog or your cat has air mites, what you can do is cleanse them out with a cotton bud and salty water every single day. Even better if you can do it a couple of times a day. After you cleanse it with the salty water, you need to take some carrier oil. I personally use hemp seed oil or pumpkin seed oil, you know, anything you have at hand, and pour some oil into the air, and then using a piece of cotton wool or a cotton disc, rub it in really well and kind of cleanse the air out with that oil. But the important thing is the consistency. If you do it every single day, they'll be gone within a few days and you will not have to resort to any kind of chemicals. Now, if your pet has fleas, or if you're afraid that your pet is going to get ticks, well, for ticks, you can actually check the fur every time they come back from outside, and if you get the flea within the first few hours, there's no way your pet is going to get poisoned by them. Another thing that you can do if your pet has fleas, especially if the pet is smaller, you can give them a bath, and then what the bath is going to do is going to make the fleas unconscious. And while they're unconscious, you can comb the fur out with a fine comb, and all these dead or sleeping fleas will just fall out. And then you'll just have to keep combing a couple of times a day for a few days, and it'll be gone. That's the easiest way, especially if it's a kitten or a cat. If it's a dog, it's probably a little bit more difficult because it's bigger, but it definitely works so well for kittens and small cats. Another thing you can do if your pet has fleas is you can get some diatomaceous earth, which is so amazing for so many things. Get some diatomaceous earth and spread it all around the fur, just sprinkle it and massage it into their fur, into the skin, but be careful not to inhale any because it's very, very fine and it can irritate your nose and airways. And do it every single day, and that should give you protection. Another thing you can do is take some garlic and rub it into the fur every day. It's not going to smell good, but your pet is going to be protected naturally, so why not? Another thing you can do is take some water, put it in a spray bottle, and add 20 to 30 drops of essential oil that fleas and ticks hate. So it could be lemon oil, it can be tea tree oil, it can be lavender oil or rosemary oil, or a mixture of them. Put those all in, shake it up, and spray it all over your pet's fur every time just before it goes out, and that should definitely help keep all those pests out. So if you're one of those people that has been applying spot-on treatments on your pet, you need to think about it again, because it's really dangerous, not only for a pet but also for you, because you are going to hug your pet, you're going to kiss them, you're going to touch them, and then you will have the pesticides all over your fingers. It's really not good for you. And for pets as well, even if it's always been working for them, it can start harming them, and actually it's harming them all the time, but they can have a really bad reaction at any point, even if they've always been okay with it all their life, simply because the organophosphates, which those medications are based on, they accumulate in the body. They never go out of it. So at some point the accumulation is going to be too much for the small body of a pet, and it will have bad reaction. Another reason why it's so bad is because all these pests are developing resistance to all these drugs. So the pharmaceutical companies have to change the formula and get this stronger every single time, which is also another reason why more and more cats and dogs are having reactions, because the drugs are stronger than they've ever been. So please rethink the use of these things if you have any pets. And if you can save any pet from suffering, then you should definitely do it, even if it costs you a little bit more work with all these natural DIY remedies, but it's totally worth it. So Mikey and I are sending you our best regards. I hope that you're going to have a good week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Hi guys, today I'm going to share with you 5 different ways to eat porridge and never get bored again. Porridge is such an integral part of my morning routine.